the the point that you made about, like, I still don't know if this is the right thing for me in this space. Like, that point, that was, like, that's exactly the whole thing. That's why the young professional space is such a white space, because nobody expects you to know it. And the other side of it, too, is that there's going to be people who are, like, 20, 30, 40 years into their career, maybe C-suite, right? They're going to get insights about young professionals that they would have never had before, which means that you're not only providing value to people who are in high school, going into college going into young professionals who are still figuring it out, but also every level above, because they don't know how an associate or a senior associate thinks, and it changes from each generation, right? Millennial is different from Gen Y, Gen X, so it's giving insights to, like, the entire, kind of vertical of people who are in different positions and in different industries, right? Like, somebody might be an accountant at an accounting firm, but they're putting out one of these, like, young professional videos, but then there might be, like, a financial services person who, like, needs help with some accounting services, and now you're creating an opportunity just by telling your story, regardless of whether or not it's gonna work out, or if it's accurate, or if it's you being an expert in your space, which nobody expects that, but they might see that, and it creates a business development opportunity for you to be able to sell work, right? So the reason why I'm telling people, like, this is such a white space, and it's for each of your own niches of what you're doing right now, is because there's benefit to every person in the ecosystem, not just that high school senior who's going to end up graduating, but also that C-suite executive who has no idea how a young professional thinks, and they're having turnover issues, right? Like, for example, in the accounting world, I've seen that there's been a lot more turnover than even typically from what I've seen in the past, at least from my research. And I believe a lot of that has to do with the fact that the internet has now reached scale. In other words, what I think is happening is that kids with not just Glassdoor, but also just having the internet and being able to reach out to people through Reddit, through other social media functions, are figuring out that, wait a second, I don't have to kill myself to make this 80, 90-hour week into the tax deadline or the audit deadline. I don't have to do that. I can go and work like a regular financial services job and not have to put myself through that. Same thing with investment banking. I'm seeing that same trend. It's that kids are getting burnt out, and then they're realizing, wait a second, I don't know if I necessarily want to keep doing this. It happened in the past, but now there's internet at scale, so more people are seeing it, and they're seeing it sooner in their careers, and I think that that's going to create a potential but a potential issue, a huge issue, right, for these audit and tax practices who need to have associates and senior associates that work those hours, but they're running out of the supply, right? Yeah. They're all going elsewhere because they're realizing, wait a second, I don't have to do this anymore. I think that that's going to be a thing that's going to sneak up on the accounting industry, and I'll be very interested how it plays out. The one thing, the saving grace might be a financial meltdown. And I say that, it's funny, right? Like, yeah. Why would an accounting firm or a financial services firm wish for a meltdown? And I think the reason why is because then people who are young professionals who are going into other jobs or quitting their jobs and trying to do their own thing are going to be like, wait a second, I might struggle to find a job. I don't know if I can actually make this side hustle or this entrepreneur thing work. Yeah. I'm going to go back and get that job, or I'm going to stay, or people are going to stay within those, roles where they're kind of burning out a little bit because they're like, wait a second, people are struggling to get jobs. I need to be able to support myself and pay rent. Right. I may stay in this. So I think that might be the saving grace. But if there's no financial meltdown and you're starting to lose the supply of the associates and senior associates working in your practice to be able to go through those busy seasons, that might create an issue in the ecosystem. So
it could potentially be a good thing though for them it would cause them to instigate them to change so that they could, get, reduce the turnover issues because they could change the work situation, just give people reasons to stay instead of giving them reasons to leave.
Yes. To
a degree anyway. I know the hours are long and that's just the nature of the job.
But I thought the same. I mean, that's like a reasonable thing to think.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, and I don't know this for a fact, but like from talking to people at different firms, right? Both, Big Four and outside of the Big Four. From talking to them, it seems like their managers and senior managers still think that this is it's the norm technically because it always happens. There's always that turnover of kids who get burnt out and don't want to keep working. Yeah. The problem is that I think that they think it's typical, and the reality is it's not as typical as it was because now there's internet at scale. Yeah. People are seeing this in the masses, right?
Yeah.
Seeing this happen,
Yeah.
and so it's different. And by the time that they recognize that trend, my concern is that it'll already be too late. People will be like, tax or audit, screw that. I'm not going to put myself through something like that. And I don't know if the same thing's going to happen with investment banking because I don't know that industry as well. I don't have as much ground level data, but I'm also seeing the early signs of that too. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think that a financial meltdown is going to be a huge incentive for people to stay in those jobs. But if a financial meltdown doesn't happen and they keep losing the supply of these kids, what are they going to do?